because good girls are taught money is not something you should think about. We have to put on, like I call it, it's a money oxygen mask. We put ours on first. Ask these difficult questions. The double D, death and divorce. You could become a crorepati, and a crorepati 30 years ago was a big deal. That bag is an investment. It is not. That silk sari is an investment. It is not. The more you teach, the more you learn. Also, I would prioritize your own retirement. You're a single woman over your daughter's higher education. These are very harsh things for me to say, but I have to say them. We have to stop saying, I don't understand money. I have no head for numbers. I am a great doctor, lawyer, astronaut, but when it comes to numbers, I have no head for them. That we are unable to discuss money and finances at home because we don't want to be called a gold digger.
Happy Women's Day to all the incredible women out there. Today is a very special episode of Make Money Matter by HDSC Sky. We are not just celebrating women, but we are also having empowering conversation about something that stresses the women out most, money. Monika, welcome to Make Money Matter. And I wanted to make this Women's Day very special by telling all the women viewers how can they take charge of their financial journeys.
Good idea.
Yeah. I want to understand from you how your trajectory was. How did you come to becoming financially independent?
I think I can only say that it was my profession which helped me. I've been a business journalist all my life. At some point, I made the transition into being a part of India's first personal finance magazine. This is 1997. 96 is when mutual funds came. So the number of private financial products were very few. By 97, we began to see some action in home loans, in mutual funds. And this magazine was launched, and I transited from being a business journalist to becoming personal finance journalist when something like this did not exist.
Yeah.
So I think I was probably the first person to onboard this thought process that we can take decisions which will impact our future.
Yeah.
And then having a background in economics through the Delhi School of Economics and just being happy working with numbers, I could see the impact of regular investing over a lifetime into the future. Right? So that time, the only product which I could think of that time was PPF.
Yeah.
And in those days, because of higher inflation, the returns used to be 12%. Okay, because if inflation is higher, your returns are higher. So some of the numbers that I did, I realized that you could become a crorepati, and a crorepati 30 years ago was a big deal. It isn't anymore. So just the fact that I changed course as a journalist, then I realized I don't know much about finance. I know economics. So then I studied, I passed exams. Because if I'm writing advice, I should have the knowledge before I could do that. So I studied, I passed the CFP exams, I did mutual fund, I trained people in the financial sector, because the more you teach, the more you learn.
Yeah.
That was the idea. So basically it's been a journey which took me just deeper and deeper into the area of personal finance, and then I realized that whereas my communication with the retail was fine, the problem was in the structure of the market.
Yeah.
The problem was with the regulatory framework of India. So then I also worked with the government and the regulators so that we can change the rules for retail investors so that they get better products, they get a fairer marketplace. Over those years, my basic thought was that unless I eat my own cooking, I should not be advising. So I would actually use the products myself to see how they work. Use platforms myself to see how it works. So I think in that way, because I was sort of experimenting with my own money, the fruits of that came over time, because when you're recommending equity funds and you don't invest, you invest in fixed deposits, there's a problem.
Yes.
So my investing has been completely aligned to what I write and what I speak.
Yeah.
So I think my financial independence at a much earlier age, I owe to my profession, and then also just being true to it, to do what I tell others to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Women's Day theme is Accelerate Action.
Yeah.
It is said that it will take us more than 100 years to achieve gender parity at the current rates.
When you say gender parity?
In terms of gender pay. equality in wages, equality in economic status of women. So it will take us more than 5 generations to reach that. What do you think can women do specifically to accelerate that number?
We have to stop saying, I don't understand money, I have no head for numbers, I am a great doctor, lawyer, astronaut, I am super qualified. But when it comes to numbers, I have no head for them. Or I don't understand money. So this shrinking away from money, because good girls are taught money is not something you should think about. So these are all these social constructs that we have sort of imbibed. That good girls don't talk about money, they don't ask about assets, they don't ask what is my share in the family asset pool. Okay, so I think to be a very brave daughter-in-law to ask what is my share after, like, for in the family with her husband. So of course the laws have changed, but I think as women we have to start saying that I will take control of my money. I will have these difficult conversations. Okay, so I'm leaving out this small cohort of women who use the laws to really clean out the husband's family. Okay, so that is happening as well. Okay, so I'm leaving out that unfortunately they give everyone else a bad name, and everyone else is a very large number. These stories are a very small number.
Correct.
And unfortunately these stories give rest of the women a bad name. Then they become even more afraid to ask. So this is really harming the cause of the rest of the women when they're not being able to talk about these things. And I also get messages from, I do a podcast and people write into me, and these are some of the questions that they say, that we are unable to discuss money and finances at home because we don't want to be called a gold digger.
Correct.
It's like that. So I think the first thing we have to put on, like I call it, it's a money oxygen mask. We put ours on first. Ask these difficult questions. What happens to me if we are so afraid of the double D, death and divorce? Look at the world. Just because you're thinking about it doesn't mean it will happen. Because if you think thinking about it will make it happen, then you think about 100 crore. No? It should be the same thing, right? If thinking about death and divorce will make it happen, then think about 100 crore. It will come to you. Just as death and divorce will. I don't understand this emotional outburst. You're thinking about death and divorce. Yes, why not? So it actually makes your current relationship very strong. Should you answer these difficult questions?
Correct.
So I think women need to just
ask these
empower
questions
themselves.
Yeah.
No one's going to come and there's no
help them
prince in riding a horse who will come and do. You got to do it yourself.
Correct.
And it gives you immense power within the family to be financially independent. Absolutely. Money is power. If you don't control it, others will control you.
Yeah. And while this is true for a certain segment of the population, there are also women who have the means, who have the education and are still not able to, take control of their own finances. I worked in AIFs and I had a colleague who was 30-year-old and she would not invest her own money. She would not participate in her own wealth building process. Her father or her husband would take care of it, even though she was from the financial services industry herself. So I think it's more about how society has positioned and created that wall between women and finance. And also women have to pay more in form of what they call as pink tax. So how do they navigate that? Like
when you say pink tax, you mean higher prices for the
same goods.
Don't buy them. Choice is yours. And don't buy them. If you know that that pink thing is going to cost you double than the black thing, then buy the black thing. No. Why are you doing that? And why are you telling me that XYZ, I don't want to mention a brand name, that bag is an investment? It is not. Okay. That silk sari is an investment. It is not.
Nobody ends up selling them actually. I've never seen a...
Correct. So unless you're a collector of a painter or, you are a art dealer, those are investments. The painting on my wall is a memory, is a gift, is a something. It is not an investment. I'm not going to take this off and sell it, even though it might be of value. So don't give in to these things that this shoe is an investment. It is not. The bag is not an investment. So stop fooling yourselves. Investment is something I can take to market and I don't need a counterparty that I know. There is a market and I can sell it and I can get money. And the faster, easier, less cost way that I can do it, the better investment it is.
Correct.
Yeah. So women need to just like not talk about trinkets as investments.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think there are things that women have distinct advantage in when it comes to financial planning or personal investment over men?
So once women cross that threshold, they're very good at managing money. There's an inherent lack of ego. So the problem with investment is that at some point it becomes an ego trip. That I bought this and it was a 5-bagger. I did this crypto, it got me so much. Okay, it becomes a bragging thing to tell in your social network.
Yeah.
Women typically are more conservative and their egos don't come in the way. So they build better, more consistent, longer term portfolios.
Yeah.
So once you have crossed that threshold of that initial fear of money and long term investments, then you are actually much better than a man who might take decisions differently. Yeah. So once you are actually going to do well.
So before we came for the shoot, we actually told our listeners that we will be meeting Miss Monika Halan for HTSC Sky's Make Money Matter podcast. And they have sent an overwhelming number of questions. So here are a few of them. Cultural and societal norms often discourage women from actively manage their finances or making investment decisions. I have experienced situations where if I approach my family's CA, they will brush it off. But if a male member of my family reaches out to him with a question, they give a very detailed response. Why does this happen and how can women assert themselves more effectively?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I have to tell you this story. So some years back, I was buying a car myself. Okay. And I did the EMI or whatever, the whole thing. And the person from the car dealer came home.
Yeah.
And my husband that time was traveling. He wasn't home. So I was dealing with him one-on-one.
Correct.
I could see him shifting in his seat because I was looking at the interest rate and the EMI. So he goes, ma'am, color kaun sa lengi? So, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like, so yeah, they will do it. It's up to you to have the knowledge and the confidence to stick with what you want out of that deal. Mera wala rose, mera wala pink ka time gaya. Like this whole thing, mera wala white. There used to be an ad long back.
Yeah.
This really wide-eyed woman would say, mera wala of something nonsense. So that time, you have to decide who you are.
Correct.
You want to be that wide-eyed babe in the woods who's choosing a car on color.
Yeah.
Do that. But if you're not, then you have to empower yourself. So there's enough resources out there. I think there is so much material out there that should you want to empower yourself, I think you can. So your only recourse is to empower yourself.
Correct. We have another question, and this one's from a single mother. She says, I'm a single mother to a wonderful daughter who is in grade 2. I work as a product manager in a corporate firm. And while I earn decently, a significant portion of my income goes towards her private school fees and daycare, along with managing household expenses. Monika, how can I effectively save for my daughter's future education while also ensuring I'm building a secure retirement fund for myself?
So one thing is that, as a parent, if you're choosing a school which is so expensive, you are actually taking these decisions vis-a-vis the future, higher education for your daughter and your own retirement. Yeah. So those are the things that you need to think about today, that best aspirational school which costs so much, what advantage will it give to you versus a more middle class school with possibly equally good education?
Yeah.
It may not have the snob value. So again, I think you need to have a very clear conversation with yourself. What are you choosing? Are you choosing bragging rights in your peer group? Yeah. And I'm not talking about this lady, I'm not insulting her in any way. This is a message to everyone else that what am I choosing? An averagely good school need not cost that much.
Yeah.
So you are making these decisions about your future, your retirement and your daughter's future education by possibly putting her in a school that you cannot afford right now.
Correct.
So I think those are the things you need to think about. Also, I would prioritize your own retirement. You're a single woman over your daughter's higher education. These are very harsh things for me to say, but I have to say them. Okay, you are educating your daughter, you're getting her through school and possibly college here. Then she's on her own to chart out her future.
Correct.
You're going to be 60, and unless you have the assets, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So you give her a really good education, basic education. There are enough scholarships. A child who wants to do well will find the way. Put that fire in the belly rather than give her such a comfortable life that I will take care of everything. You can tell her that, and you can really handicap her for life.
Yeah.
Or you can say, I have this much, I'll get you till there. After that, I can support you, but you will have to swim. You will have to struggle a bit.
I think Indian parents don't put that in front of their kids. Like,
I think our generation messed up because we had such tough years, early years. We didn't want our children, like your generation, to go through what we went through.
yeah.
So I think we wrapped you in cotton wool, which was really a bad idea. And now people my age are now figuring out, what did we do?
Yeah.
Because we've then raised children
Who are not independent enough.
before the problem could come, we've solved it.
Yeah.
So there has to be a mix of allowing the child to make mistakes, allowing them to get hurt, allowing them to lose.
There's one more question. It says, I'm about to get married and my fiance and I have very different spending habits. He's more frugal while I have personal expenses that are important to maintaining my lifestyle. We are planning to buy a new flat in Mumbai and the home loan will be under my name. Monika, would you recommend keeping separate bank accounts to manage our finances individually, or should we go for a joint account to handle everything together, at least the household expenses? What is the best approach in this situation?
Why the loan is only in one name? If they're buying the house together, I would imagine that both would contribute the EMI. So my suggestion would be buy the house in a joint name. I think I know why it's only in her name, to save on the stamp duty.
Yeah.
I think it's fair that it be in the husband's name as well. Okay, we don't know what happens 5 years, 10 years later.
Yeah.
So to be fair to him, and he's probably contributing to the EMI, so please give that extra stamp duty, but I would say buy the house 50-50 and contribute half and half to the EMI.
Correct.
So that's the first thing, that in a marriage, assets are half and half. So what is good for the wife should also be good for the husband. So please, that's one thing that you do. Second is basic household expenses, which you both agree on, come into a joint account.
Yeah.
Rest remains in your single accounts, and then you do your lifestyle spending. He might end up with larger savings than you, but those are consequences of you spending more today than in the future.
Yeah.
So, but the spending on either EMI, rent, household help, groceries, all of that becomes together, transport.
Yeah.
But lifestyle expenses, I would say, keep separate. And basically, look, the marriage, it takes a while for the marriage to mature. So after a while, there's very little difference between your money and my money.
Yeah.
But at least in the initial years, you practice on how, because money is one of the biggest reasons for divorce across the world. Different spending habits, different value systems around money. So try and converge on something that you both agree on, rather than having drastically different approaches towards money. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Monika, for sharing these invaluable insights on women and finance. And as always, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to HDSC Sky, and stay tuned for more such episodes.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.